Wasn't Brian Pillman at one point in some type of backstage, fairly serious fight in Stampede that I think Dynamite Kid had instigated the whole thing?
Yeah, yeah. This was a fight he had with a guy named Brick Bronsky, Jeff Belsner, I think was his name. I think Jeff's around somewhere still. He was somewhere in the southern states, but this was, I think, 1988, about a year after the brawl between Alan and Angel. But this was in the dressing room, and there is some shit disturbing going on. Brian Pillman wasn't well liked or received by a lot of the boys because he was pretty brash, pretty cocky, sometimes arrogant, but he could back himself up. And a lot of the guys didn't like him because he was kind of a drill sergeant with the training camp that my brother Bruce and Keith ran. And Brian was pretty militant with a lot of these guys and put them through some pretty humiliating, exhausting drills, and sometimes embarrass them. You know, if somebody wasn't working hard or doing what they were told, and then quite often Brian would make the entire crew redo laps or exercises because one guy had screwed up and made a mistake. But so he had a lot of heat with some of the guys from the training camp, and then some of the boys just didn't like him because they thought he was up Bruce's ass, so to speak. You know, he was getting a push as Bruce's partner in bad company, and Brian was pretty brash. You know, he would come into bars and quite often steal girls or not even necessarily ring rats, but just girls in bars, some of them pretty nice looking girls from other wrestlers, you know, just because he was so cocky and had so much confidence and he could back it up. Like he was a tough athlete, Brian. And a lot of guys didn't like that. You know, he had a lot of heat with heels and baby faces alike. But the bottom line is he was a great performer and did his job well in the ring. You know, so the push he got, the money he made, you know, he deserved that because he was a great performer, even though he lacked people skills. You know, with some of the other boys and some of the other wrestlers. So I guess he kind of rubbed Beltsner the wrong way, and Beltsner felt Brian was ridiculing him or making fun of him in front of the other boys. And so he kind of appealed to Dynamite and Davey, who weren't even working for the promotion. They were working for the WWE at the time. And Jeff felt that if he had a fight with Brian, he wanted to basically stand up and fight Brian. He was afraid Bruce or other wrestlers would intervene on Brian's behalf and he would be outnumbered. So Dynamite, who didn't like Pillman anyway, you know, he saw Brian as kind of a guy that hadn't paid his dues, and he didn't like Brian's cockiness, right, his arrogance, and was pretty cool around Brian, you know, and maybe he felt Brian was moving up the ranks too fast in the Stampede promotion, you know, so Dynamite and Davey both agreed. They said, well, we'll come down to the dressing room and we'll make sure it's a fair fight. But they really instigated and they psyched Beltsner up to fight with Brian, you know, and gave Beltsner a false sense of courage, you know, that he could stand up to Brian. And for Dynamite, all he wanted to see was action, right? You know, they just wanted to see two guys go at it, you know, and then maybe if he got the chance to go after Pillman, he would have, you know. I think, you know, Dynamite was pretty trigger happy, you know. This was, probably 6 months before his brawl with Shaw Crucial at the TV tapings for WWF. So Dynamite was pretty eager to engage in any physical conflicts. You know, he wouldn't shy away from any fights. So they made a point of coming down to our show in the dressing room. I guess they had an off night. They weren't working that weekend for the WWE, so they came just sort of unannounced, you know, without being invited, and came into the dressing room. And then when Pillman arrived there and Beltsner was already waiting for him, he confronted Brian and kind of stood up and called him names and said, "You're an asshole, and I'm tired of taking your shit," you know. And so Brian didn't back down. You know, I think Bruce was in there and I was there. Owen luckily hadn't arrived yet because he definitely would have intervened as well. But so they just started going at it. Brian didn't back down from the challenge. They went toe to toe and had a pretty good fist fight, you know. And I'd say Brian got the better of it, but it was a pretty serious brawl, and Dynamite instigated a lot of it, So, but yeah, that was a case where Brian maybe agitated, rubbed somebody the wrong way, but um, it shouldn't have ended up in a fight. Not like that. Not in the dressing room when we had a show to run and outsiders kind of getting involved. And really, they weren't there so much to intervene on Jeff's behalf. They were there more just to see a fight, and they're hoping Brian would get his ass kicked. And that's certainly not what happened. That wasn't the end result or outcome.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.